the licenses that are required without paying any dues to the county. How are you planning to make this organized?
I do believe with dialogue, everything is possible. I'll have dialogue with hawkers, and we see how we can stay together in the city of Nairobi, how they can do their businesses and they make money, they support their families, and how we can also charge a little fee which is affordable for them.
Okay, thank you for your time. I come to you, Esther Waringa Thairo. On governance, it has underneath a lot of thematic areas, and the question of corruption comes up when you mention money in the city of Nairobi, and it seems endemic. What will be your approach?
Well, with corruption, I know it's an issue that is big. I'm looking at, when I become a governor, I'll be in partnership with some bodies like DCI, EACC, where anybody who is employed, before they get the employment, they are vetted, and they should be people of integrity. I'm also looking at cutting down the loopholes of cartels. The cartels that are done that affect this city. One, we know that in the lands, Ministry of Land, land issue, it's an issue, especially when it comes to land that is allocated to the county. I would also look at the functions of what is happening, especially with the land in leasing, because most of the land's lease expires in 99 years, and we find that there are some places that they don't pay. They don't pay any lease because the leases were not renewed. So there are several things that I would look at in terms of closing those gaps of corruption and working towards making this city a city that is corruption-free.
Okay, I add you 30 seconds before my colleague comes in with the next question to the next candidate. And you have mentioned cartels. Seems this is a cliche. Who are they by definition?
Cartels are managed by people who are just those people we have elected, because they have mechanism of owning most of the businesses around. The local businesses are owned by people who are in power. So the cartels fall there. So if there is any tender or there is any garbage collection, you find that those companies are not owned by the local person. They are owned by people who are already in positions.
Your time is up. I come to Kenneth Nyamwamu, and this is very important because when we talk about finances, these are the taxes the Kenyan people pay, and they expect services, including not only Nairobi, but across the 47 devolved units in the country. Do you understand the regulations and the finance management in terms of managing the resources in Nairobi County?
The answer is yes, I do. If I may get you correctly, you're trying to ask me if we understand the way to manage finances?
Correct.
I know, I do, because I am a business owner, and I've run my business successfully for the last 2 years. So I understand how to manage finances, how to pay people on time, which the city of Nairobi needs to learn how to pay people on time and not be holding salaries for 3-6 months until people go to the streets. The city of Nairobi also needs to learn how to pay their bills on time. The other day I passed City Hall, and the whole City Hall didn't have electricity. So we need to get there so that we can pay our bills on time, pay our people on time, and ensure that revenue is collected in an efficient manner, a manner that's free of harassment from the people. In my administration, I am going to eliminate any form of the City Hall askaris arresting people in terms of people who are trying to eke a living. I think it's wrong to criminalize somebody trying to eke a living, whether they are saying on the street corner or not. We just need to get a place for them to do their business.
And your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Now we move to the next topic that we wanted to interrogate you on. And at this particular point, we assume that now that you want to be the county top boss, you know what are the requirements under the Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity. Most of you, in your opening remarks, and even while responding to the questions we've asked you, have really talked very passionately about fighting corruption. I'd like to start with you, Esther. Just tell me a bit about the how you're going to approach the war against corruption in Nairobi County.
Well, first of all, I'll look at distribution of resources. People have to give a budget on how they're going to spend the money. I'm also going to look at the tender awarding. It should be something that should be open and transparent, where you gazette every project that is going to be undertaken by the county government, and communicate even through the social media. Also give a feedback on who has been awarded, how much the project is going to be, and at what duration are they expected to finish the job. Because you find that most projects that are given out, we spend so much money and yet the projects are never finished. So that is a big loophole on curbing down the corruption. So that is what I would look at in terms of that.
And your time is up. Thank you very much.
Okay. Haman Sin Grewal, I come to you. As a FINA party member, the question of corruption has been a hallmark in this city. And when we look at the single, for example, business permits, the deficit is 912,362,049 shillings, nearly a billion Kenya shillings. What's your approach in terms of addressing this deficit, which is only 64% of the required 100%?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, in terms of corruption and also the business permits, I cannot stress the value of IT. Because IT allows us to track everything that we're required to. Whether it comes to movement of finance, whether it comes to business permits, we can use geo mapping using Google Maps, and we can track businesses that are currently operating in different areas based on traction and M-Pesa movement, and we can understand that there's a business operating there. But that comes down to investigation. Also, another point I wanted to bring in is if I'm dealing with corruption, I've seen a lot of people are stressed out by KRA investigators. Mm-hmm. Why are KRA investigators not also the investigators for corruption in Kenya? So I feel that as Nairobi governor, I will digitize a lot of operation in terms of tracking, investigation, and further I will bring in the investigative abilities of KRA into my office. Thank you.
Okay. How do you coordinate then with the Kenya Revenue Authority, which is the mandated national body, the taxman, yet you have a financial autonomy as a devolved unit in the event the people of Nairobi give you that mandate? Where is the striking of the balance between the KRA, the Kenya Revenue Authority, as you have mentioned, and the county finances in terms of the collection of the revenue?
Okay. So the question is based on bringing in KRA investigators in, right? So as a country, we're collaborative. We're one unit. Granted, we have devolution that did take place where we separated the powers of operation. We can still collaborate with different organizations. What we can do is simply have a recruiting process where we can have employees also be transferred from KRA to the Nairobi County to investigate corruption and operation of the state. So that's one of the ideas I had in mind. Also, we don't have to entirely transfer them. Something we can also do is simply borrow them occasionally to conduct certain investigations, to also have proper auditing of operation. So I feel like we have a very skilled workforce in Kenya, whether they're in KRA or they work as accountants in the private organizations. Through collaboration, we can bring together all these brilliant minds and solve the problems we're currently dealing with together as a nation. Thank you.
Mr. Nyamwamu.
Yes.
Corruption has been something that has tainted the image of Nairobi County, which many see as something that should be the city under the sun. That is how, ideally, that is the space that Nairobi should be occupying. But that is not the case, partially because of issues such as corruption. As you seek this mandate, what loopholes have you identified, and how do you seek to seal them?
First things first, I think we are not serious in our fight against corruption. That's how I feel. We have the EACC, we have the DCI, we have this body, that body, but still money gets lost. The solution is not to form another body. In fact, I agree. In fact, I would like for Wajakoya to be president so that we can hang every one of these people. Because we just dance around this issue, nobody gets held accountable. We have a gubernatorial candidate that has been cleared with fake papers, and we just dance around this issue. So how do we expect to fight corruption where we don't do anything about it? For me, the solution is to go the Wajakoya way. If you are corrupt, we send you to the gallows. Next man up. You are corrupt, go to the gallows. I think that's the only way we can deal with it.
You've talked about a case that is yet to be determined, but I'll let that go because that case is yet to be concluded.
Yeah, but we dance around these issues. See, that's the thing, that's the problem.
And I also don't see how that relates with the issue of
we just dance around
corruption.
these issues. The EBC or the IEBC said they don't have the mandate. Yet, they send me home because I had a foreign certificate. That guy in a commission that wrote for him his certificate, he couldn't look at my own certificates until he had seen my high school certificate. There is no correlation between a high school certificate and a graduate certificate. But he couldn't look at mine, yet we have a gubernatorial candidate who has been cleared by the same commission. So anyway, the issue I'm saying is we dance around this issue of corruption, but nobody wants to take affirmative action.
I just want to stay on that matter for a bit before we move. So you mean as governor you will be helpless just because institutions are not working? So you cannot do anything to fight corruption? That is what you're saying tonight?
No, that's not what I'm saying. As governor, I'll do my part.
What will you do? That was the question.
I will not appoint anybody in my government who has been implicated or who has a case pending or who has been implicated in a corruption scandal. If you don't do that, people are just going to go to court because the mantra is you are innocent until proven guilty, and then they just dance around that issue, and that issue is not solved. So on my part, I will not appoint anybody who's tainted. I will only work with people with clean hands. Let the EACC dance until the day they decide to work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Nancy Wambui Mwadime, what then will be your approach in effectively sealing the loopholes of financial malfeasance in Nairobi County?
My approach is that when I get
sorry to cut.
Just mic.
Yeah.
You can adjust the microphone at your place of comfort. Feel free. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the approach I want to give is that in the county government management, I am going to work with every place in Nairobi. Like in Nairobi, we have the Somalis, we have the Indians, we have even the white people who are citizens of Kenya, and they are also in Nairobi. So in my county government, I'm going to include everyone in the management so that we're able to seal the loophole even whereby corruption come through. Because corruption cases, it's done by not one person, but two people who come together and agree. So when you put every lace in the management, we are able not to agree on the long things, especially the corruption. And as I would want to say is that myself, I'm not corrupt, and therefore anyone who will work under me.
Your time is up. And I add you 30 seconds, but on clarity basis, Ms. Nancy Mwadime, when you talk about the ethnicities, in this case appreciating the cocktail nature of this county, which is a reflection of the country entirely, is the problem inclusion or governance in your view in addressing the question I posed?
When I include everybody in the management, I believe that we are able to coordinate, even in the area of the finances. We are getting or the revenue coming in the county government.
Is it about the color of your skin or about your character?
No,
The
it's not
issue of
about
corruption.
the color.
So why talk about race? Why talk about including all the people in your management?
It's not about the race. It's saying that Nairobi, we all of us, we are Nairobians, Indians, white people. Like, I think if I'm not wrong, I'm not seeing white people in the county government, and we have them as citizens. So that's what I'm trying to say, that in my government, I'll have a good number of white people, a good number of Indians, a good number of Somalis, and all of us together.
Is their absence the reason why we have huge corruption cases at the Kenya's capital? The absence of certain races in the management of the county, the reason why corruption still exists in Nairobi?
I believe the corruption still exists because when you put the same people of same, then they are able to agree together and agree that they can do ABC and they're able to accomplish. But when...
Thank you for your time. And when we get back from this break, the debate continues, and we thank you for your time and responding to the questions, and also the thematic areas that are yet to be exhausted. And we'll continue after the break. The debate continues.